So welcome everybody. Welcome people. Welcome people here in the sanctuary. Welcome people that are part of our virtual community. Welcome people that are here right now. Welcome people that may join in later on. Just welcome everyone in this one presence, one power. And just to begin, let's just take a moment of silence, because that's the place where all creation begins. So let's just breathe into that creative intelligence space, that field. Beyond the idea of right and wrong, there is a field. I will meet you there. So let's just all breathe into that space and then rest in that with open-heartedness, open-mindedness, in the silence of our being, in the silence. And so for this time together in oneness, we just say, thank you, God. So my name is Reverend Jessie, and it's my honor and my privilege and my great joy to walk with you, Christ to Christ, light to light, divine to divine, sacred human being to sacred human being. So we join from that place in our allness and allow this space to unfold from that place of principle and love. So again, welcome. This is the first time I've done this here in the sanctuary, as well as doing it virtually. So it's a little bit of a new agenda here. And the order of service will be just a little bit different, because we're not going to include everything. There's not going to be a meet and greet, much to our dismay, but we can just do that from our heart space and know that we're all connected here. And we won't be singing any songs together today, but I've got some that'll be playing through the sound system. So hopefully you that are on here virtual will be able to hear that as well. And let's just, Jim, would you, we've got a few announcements to do. Are you ready to do that? Okay. I'm going to move out of this space and let him slide in.
Well, there goes my hearing aid. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to a lot of people, the entire congregation. I want to say from the board, speaking for the board, that we appreciate everyone's patience, everyone's understanding, everyone's support, everyone's the people that have called and communicated with us about where you're at, what your feelings are about church services, about where we're at right now. It's a difficult time. I want to thank Marianne, who puts together our newsletter and our press release. She has done an outstanding job gathering information, talking to different people within the church, getting that information, and putting together a real quality communication from Unity of Blairsville to the public and especially to the congregation. I want to say thank you to Devison, who, without his help over the last 3 months, Um, uh, Devison, we so appreciate you. He has coached many of us as far as getting the word out and getting the message out on Sundays. And we thank you so much for that, Devison. Um, I'm I also feel obligated to share that a couple weeks ago, Devison said he was going to step down from the music uh, director position at the church. And now he has decided that he is also going to step down from the technology position at the church. He wants to be a congregant. He wants to pursue other uh, career opportunities, and we wish him the very best. We're going to miss you in those positions, Devison. We're thankful that you're going to stay in the area, and we get to see you at church when church opens. And your family, Stevie and Layla, we just wish you the very best. And for people out there who have a knack for technology, we're looking for people to step forward and help us out with that area in our church. The last group that I want to thank is the board. And I want you to know that the board has been meeting as much as I think the board has ever met. I mean, almost on a weekly basis. We've come together to decide whether or not we're going to have church services live or whether we're going to do streaming, and talking about other church business as well. And each one of them, I'm looking at Gail right now, who writes up minutes and shares those minutes with Marianne, who gets them out in newsletters. I'm looking at Louise right now, who's always there. Leroy, we meet, and the discussions that we've had have been they've been difficult. We all come at this point with COVID, and we all have different views on things, and we try to get all those views out on the table and make decisions that bottom line, we want to keep the congregation as safe as possible, and we would feel so bad if somebody got sick. And personally, I know of one person that's a friend of a friend that died. I know 3 people that were tested positive last week that I know. And actually, and there's a 4th person that Karen and I know, and again, we're trying to make decisions, and it's hard. It's really difficult, but know that we're doing it in the best interest of the congregation. Board, anything else the board would like to share? Leroy, Louise, Gail, anything? Okay. The last thing that I want to do is, this is Reverend Jesse's first talk as our temporary part-time minister, and she's temporary part-time. She's temporary part-time because she's still working on her credentials through Unity Worldwide. And Karen just brought Jesse a bouquet of flowers, and we're very, very happy that Jesse has joined us as a part-time. We hope someday she will be a permanent part-time minister. But we love you so much, and we are extremely grateful that you are our leader, and we're praying for you, and wish you the very, very best, and know that you're going to make our lives better and richer.
Thanks, Jim.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, one other thing. As I talk to the congregation, please pray for the board. Pray for us. We ask God for guidance, and we ask you to support us in prayer. It would be very important and very, very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Yep.
These are those beautiful flowers. Aren't those gorgeous?
Very nice.
I loved what you did with gratitude. It feels like for the people here that are doing so much, Devison and my prayer this morning when we came together was in gratitude as well. And I would like to send, a blessing out to everyone as well that's doing the many things that need to be done to keep a community going. But if Devison were here, and so Devison, I'm asking you to do this right now, and when you're at home with your beautiful little family, if you would put your arms out like you're receiving a blessing. And then we're going to put our arms out, our hands out, sending you that blessing. So, Devison, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ as you. Blessings, blessings, blessing. Breathe that in, because that's the truth. And you are so appreciated and loved. Thank you, everybody, for doing that with me. All right, so at this time, I'm going to light the Christ candle, which is always that symbol of the light within us, that symbol of that living presence by whatever name, that then we take in our being as those verbs of God, those living verbs, bringing that out into our world. And so I light this Christ candle. Honoring that living presence in each and every person. Okay, our statement of faith. Say it with me, you all. There is only one presence, one power, active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. Okay, just take a minute and breathe that out. Breathe that in, what that means. It's a powerful statement of our world, our universe, and each one of us. And then we have affirmations here. I didn't have that one. Okay, we have affirmations here that you at home, I think, can see on the screen, and we can see them here. God is the instant provider of all good things. God knows my needs and guides me in all ways. Again, just take a minute. Is that true for you? Do you trust that? Do you sink into that when you're confused? God's there to guide us in every single moment. And provides everything. Is that the only one that's up there, Leroy? Is there another affirmation? No. Okay. I'm going to tell you mine because I have one. You've heard it from me before. In this place of so much change, and actually it's true all the time, but I certainly feel it during this time, I know nothing, and everything is possible. Is that true for you? You know, sometimes we think we got it figured out. We got the right answer. We know what it's all about. You all, I know nothing, and everything is possible. We see this much, God sees this much. We don't know what's playing out in any one moment. Okay, so our prayer box is here, and Unity was founded on the power of prayer with the Fillmores. And I hope you all are calling silent unity during this time. I know I have. It's our 24-hour prayer ministry that's been going on for over 100 years, and they are always there ready to pray with us. I did it just the other day, and it's such a place to sink in. And then they pray for it there for a month. And if we have any prayer requests here, we hold them in prayer, and then they go to silent unity to be prayed for a month as well. All right. So I'd like to read to you our daily word for today. And again, if you're new to Unity, and for calling Unity, it's so easy. It's 1-800-NOW-PRAY. And so that's an easy one to remember, 1-800-NOW-PRAY, anytime you want someone to pray with you. And then we have this wonderful little daily reader, and I'm not sure how long this has been going on, but lots of years. And today's reading is will. And the affirmation is, spiritual understanding guides my will. So just breathe that in, that affirmation for yourself. Spiritual understanding guides my will. May that be the truth in every moment of all of our days. Each day, I use my will to make decisions, big ones and small, that affect the quality and direction of my life. Through the use of my human will, I may make choices out of fear or a sense of lack. Or I may be driven by my desire for convenience, comfort, or the pleasures of the moment. The use of my spiritual will, however, directs my choices toward a greater awareness of my divine nature. As I grow spiritually, I use my will to shine my Christ light even more brightly. I grow in willingness to co-create with God as I release my willfulness to do everything on my own. As I live more intentionally for my divinity, the light of spiritual understanding dawns within me and directs my will. And from Joshua 1, verse 9, I hereby command you, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. I'm going to read that again. I think that's a really good one for this time in all of our lives and what we're living through. Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. One presence, one power. And the affirmation again, spiritual understanding guides my will. Whoever wrote that for the daily word, blessings, we appreciate you. Excuse me. You know, I woke up this morning with a phrase coming through, and it was fear not. So it fits that very well, doesn't it? And, you know, I don't believe that I'm in fear a lot, but I think it's so pervasive in the collective unconscious right now that whether or not we've got something up where it's just there. So I think it's so important to do this deeper grounding in our truth every day, maybe with prayer pauses throughout our day. I'd like to play a song for you. It was written as a prayer. Thank you so much, Gail. Creed of the Heart. And it's written by one of our Unity ministers who is very much a friend here at Unity of Blairsville, Jim Rosemergy. And then it was put on this version of it to music by my friend, Wiley Beveridge. A lot of people, I believe, have put this prayer to music. And it's, our God is love. Our religion, my God is love. My religion is, gosh, I've lost it for a minute. Do you know it, Louise? I know it as well as I know my own name, and of course it's gone right now. Well, we'll let Wiley sing it to us, and then we'll remember it. And be very gentle with our humanness that just showed up right now. You see, that's how easy it is to practice this stuff. Because in the old days, I don't know about you, but that would have brought a lot of judgment from me on myself. And it's these simple little things that show up. Instead of bringing that, can we remember the love and the compassion that's our choice moment by moment to bring up? So let me play Creed of the Heart. And it's a chant. It's very simple. He's going to sing it through a few times. So just hear it as that prayer and allow the vibration of it to grow in you and to open you even further. Thank you, Jim Rosemergy. It played this morning. There it is. Deep breaths.
Our God is love. Our race is human. Our religion is oneness. That's the creed of the world. Our God is love. Our race is human. Our religion is oneness. Amen. Our God is love. Our race is human. Our religion is oneness. That's the creed of the world.
Deep breaths, you all.
Our God is love. Our race is our religion is oneness. Amen. Our God is love. Our race is human. Our religion is oneness. That's the creed of the world. Our God is love. Our race is human. Our religion is oneness. Amen. 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 Ooh. Our God is love. Our race is human. Our religion is oneness. That's the creed of love. Our God is love. Our race is human. Our religion is oneness. Amen. Amen. Amen.
That's the truth, isn't it? That's the unity teachings in those 3 short lines. What? Oh, okay. I love that song. How about you? And so from that place of the creed of our heart, I greet you from that place. And I greet you, those who are in the sanctuary here. And I greet you, those of you who are on our virtual community. I greet you in that place of love. I greet you in that place of oneness. And last week, Jeannie Ward did a wonderful blessing that I'd never heard before. And she called it the Gandhi blessing. And so this puts more actual ways to how we do this when we see each other. And it's, I offer you peace. Can we hold that for every person we meet this day? I offer you peace. I offer you love. I'm not doing a meditation here. I offer you friendship. And I see your beauty. Can we see that for everyone? I feel your needs. I feel your feelings. Isn't that beautiful? There's a little bit more to it. And I greet you from that place of the wisdom in me, beholding that wisdom in you. We all have that divine connection, that place of the oneness, of the unity. And a divine science minister said this at one of his services, and I haven't been able to let it go. And I'm trying to practice it in the deepest way I know how. And I don't usually bring any politics into anything in the service, but to practice these principles, we're all seeing them through our filters of that these days, aren't we? So I'm just going to bring this one little piece in here. Unless we can hold that blessing for President Trump, unless we can hold that blessing for Nancy Pelosi, unless we can hold that blessing for both sides in our Congress and Senate, unless we can hold that blessing for all people in our country that have strong feelings around those polarizations, then we don't deserve to have a blessing. I heard that from another minister, and I just I've been holding that because that's what we're being asked to do in these times of such polarity. And you all, today I'm going to really probably put out more questions than answers. I don't have answers, but I do know we're being asked to open our hearts to each other and have more conversation and ask the hard questions. And how do we do this these days? I was part of a call a couple days ago with a unity ministry out in California that have been asking that question around racism for quite a while. And there were 2 Black people on the panel, and there were 2 white people, and then there was the minister, Wendy Craig Purcell, who is white. And she had asked the Black woman on this panel, and they've been friends for years. And she asked her, what does it feel like to be a Black woman in today's society? She'd never asked her that question. And the woman said, thank you for asking me that question. No one asks me what it feels like. And so again, it's the whole crux of that panel was, it's not enough to think we're practicing the golden rule. It's not enough to have a Black friend. We need to get underneath that to understand how they're living in this country as well. And I was really touched by that. So I just wanted to bring that little piece of what these conversations maybe can look like, because we all think we see through the same lens, and we don't see through the same lens at all, do we? So when I was thinking about today, I thought about, everything is a God time because God is everywhere present. But oh, these are God times for sure, aren't they? When there's so much change happening, God is right there saying, turn to me, ground yourself in me. Divine order is going on here, even though you can't see it. And we have to remember that. And Leroy, can you pull up the picture on the slide that was of the tree? There was a picture of a tree. There you go. I had a conversation with some people last week where a lot of us had different opinions and viewpoints and perceptions of this oneness. Now that's going to happen a lot, you all, if we stretch ourselves with people of who we're with. And when I got home, I could feel that I needed to breathe some more of this energy to reground myself. And I walked down to the park from my home. I wanted to put my feet in the grass, and I have a lot of pine needles where I am. So I walked down to the park and I sat and I closed my eyes and I just opened to the energy of the trees and of nature, because I don't know about you all, but that's a place that really grounds me. When I opened my eyes, here was this tree. And it was such a metaphor for me of how at the bottom, at the core of our being, where our rootedness is into our being, into our roots, we're one, aren't we? Look at that, we're one. And then in this life that we live here, we look like we're such separate beings. But truly, energetically, that oneness, that rootedness, that groundedness in love of God, of living presence, is still there. And that's what we're asked to remember in truth. And as I walked out to the car this morning, the beautiful garden at Karen and Jim's had all these lilies. And each one was a different color and had different beauty. And aren't we being asked to remember that true? They were magnificent. But we're magnificent too in our human divine, in our sacred human selves, aren't we? It doesn't matter whether we have black skin. It doesn't matter whether we have white skin. It doesn't matter we have yellow skin. It doesn't matter whether we're male or female or straight in our sexual preferences or gay or transgender. It doesn't matter if we hold to our truth principles. There is only oneness. And that's what this time of change, I think, see if you agree, is calling forth on us to live in a deeper way than we have ever lived it before. And I know when there's so much change on the planet, we're all trying to make meaning out of it, aren't we? You know, we watch the violence that's happening and try to make meaning of that. And I once heard that the greatest fear we all have is the fear of the unknown. And this is, like I said earlier, it can be a time of crisis for how we're going to see this unknown place, this place on our planet that we've never been before, have we? Well, maybe there have been other pandemics, but I know in my lifetime, I've never been on this place where there's been a worldwide pandemic and all this violence going on again, of not seeing and not living that oneness. And so I'm trying to make sense of it. And the only way I can do that is to continually go back to our principles and remember that oneness and remember that love and remember that even though out here on the human plane, we can't see how this is trying to have an uprising in love in us, maybe, but that presence that we're held in underneath is absolutely nudging us with our choices, with how we see things. How can we be those God verbs of love in a more expanded way? How can we let go of our perceptions of the way we think is right, may even think we know is right? How can we open ourselves to be that in a more expanded setting? I think that's what we're here for. And we signed up for this. Sometimes I go, why am I here during this time? Because we chose to be. Do you believe that? We chose to be here. And to be that verb of love the best way we know how, and to hold that for others that may have more fear than we're holding. And maybe sometimes someone else is holding that for us when I've been caught off guard with something and have gotten into that human place. And it's all about making meaning out of it. And can we find a way to see it through the lens of love? Didn't you love Jeannie's glasses last week? Those great big heart glasses of love. It was such a tangible reminder to remember that. So that tree image is an image that I go back to remember. And then to ask myself, the word risk, we're going to have to take risks during this time with how we show up in conversation. And the acronym that I created around that word, maybe others have created too. The first thing we have to do is remember who we are in these conversations. Remember who that other person is. Remember that we are all that sacred human, showing up the best we know how. And sometimes it looks better than others, doesn't it? But we're all showing up moment by moment in that sacred human place, the best we know how. And then that I is for imagination. Can we imagine that somehow this is a time where more peace, more love can be birthed? I've got to hold that, don't you? I've got to try and remember to hold that if I see a vision of something else on the television. Can I hold it as I watch the news and go, imagine more peace is coming forth to be birthed here? And then the S is for surrender. We don't have to figure out how to do this. Thank you, God. Isn't that the best news? We don't have to figure out how to do this, but we have to surrender into that and do deep listening over and over and over again. And then practice kindness. How would we want to be treated on this at this time? It's so simple. It's the Dalai Lama's religion. Can we risk kindness if we're talking with somebody with a different perception? And I think I brought here, I brought it for our board meeting and we used it before. But I want to share it with you all because this time is a time for deep listening. And these are lovely words, but then we have to practice them. That fifth principle, it says it's not enough to know these truths, that there's only God, that each of us are that expression, each and every person. The police, the people who've experienced violence, we're all grounded in this presence with different vibrations, again, doing the best we can. So here's the invitation to the deep listening. We cannot change the world by a new plan, project, or idea. We cannot even change other people by our convictions, stories, advice, and proposals. Don't we want to sometimes? I know I do. But can we offer a space where people are encouraged to disarm themselves, to be vulnerable, to speak their truth, to trust this presence a little bit deeper, lay aside their occupations and preoccupations and listen with attention and care to the voice speaking in their own center. Again, that's that place of tuning in and listening to what's wanting to come forth. We have the deepest wisdom in each of us. That's what Charles and Myrtle taught. That's what Jesus taught, our way shower. Go within for those answers and listen. And this morning I heard that word, fear not. It's in the Bible hundreds of times. Fear not. And then I wrote down, because I Googled it this morning, and one of the scriptures that really spoke to me, fear not, for God has not given us a spirit of fear. If we're afraid, we're not in that God-centered place. But God has given us the spirit of the power of love and of sound, of using our voices to bring our voice to the planet of love. So it's that simple how we come together, isn't it? Can we be that kindness? Can we be that love? Can we be that listening presence? And then can we also speak our truth from that place of not trying to convince, but just this is how I see it. And then listen to each other from that place. We make meaning out of every experience, out of every relationship, out of every coming together. We're making meaning animals. And so I want to bring up the idea of the masks, because I'm sitting here looking at them here in the congregation, and I know everyone would rather not have them on, and mine is down here, and we'll go back on as soon as I'm done speaking like this. And I know they're uncomfortable. And I know they're hot. And I know if you have respiratory problems, you probably can't wear them. And I also know that science and government from the biggest organizations are saying it's the best way to keep from spreading. And it's not the mask that I would be wearing wouldn't be protecting me. It's protecting who I'm talking to in case I'm a carrier of it and I'm unaware of that. I don't want to give it to you. I don't want to give it to anybody. And so I know people have said that this is a mask of fear, and that's one perception. And I honor that because there is some of that, I'm sure. But can we also see it as a mask of respect for the other person, for our brothers and our sisters, and a mask of compassion if someone else has health challenges that we're speaking to? Or maybe they're a little more afraid than we are. I spoke to someone this week who said he never wears a mask when he's with his family and his surroundings, but when he goes to be with his family, he does, because they need that. And so that's, I think, what we're being called to do here, is to think of ourselves and to think of others and to stretch our perception if we don't really believe that. The question is, what if you're wrong? What if it is passed this way for those of you that don't believe in the mask? What harm does it do to stretch and to wear it in case you're wrong? You know, we're all a test tube. We're a test tube here for how to do this with each other. America's that test tube for democracy, and we're a test tube how to live these principles together in our unity family, in our other families. We're a test tube for this. I wonder how it's going to turn out, don't you? I'm curious. I'm curious how I can bring more love and more inclusivity and more stretching of how I think it needs to be. Because trust me, I got my perceptions too. We're human. So let's see how we're doing on time. I want us to take these ideas into a time of meditation and to meet in that field of love. For when I meet in that place of love within me, and I meet within that place of love within you, then we're in that place of that vibration of what we do when we say namaste. We're in that place, that field of all possibility where ideas can come through, inspiration can come through of how in the heck are we going to do this? So let's just, because again, just like I said earlier, y'all, I don't have the answers, but I sure do have the questions and the desire of my heart to open into that field more in all of my interactions. How about you? And to have that for all people on this planet, not just those that look like me, not just those that believe like me, but for somehow to have these teachings be worldwide where we can live them together in love and peace. So the invitation is to take some deep breaths. Knowing that each of our breaths is that unique expression of spirit, grounded and coming from that one breath of spirit that breathed life onto our planet, breathed life into our world, and is where our roots in consciousness go down into, just like those beautiful plants, when we remember to come from that place within our sacred human experience. Beyond the idea of right and wrong, there is a field. Let's meet there.
Beyond the idea of right and wrong, there lies a field. Beyond the idea of right and wrong, there lies a field. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. In the field beyond, I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. In the field beyond, I'll meet you there. Beyond the idea of power and control, there lies a field. Beyond the idea of power and control, there lies a field. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. In the sea beyond, I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you there. In the sea beyond, I'll meet you there. In the field beyond, I'll meet you there. In the field beyond, I'll meet you there.
That field of love, that field of wonderful possibilities. And as I've looked at the little chat box on my computer as we've been listening, we're joined by people all over. Nancy and Jim Rosemergy are with us, my son in Asheville, others down in Demarest. That field we're all meeting in right now, of holding that place, of the birth of a new earth. Can it be that? A birth of a new earth that holds all of us in freedom and life and possibility. So I invite you right now to let faces come to mind of those that you know that you meet in that field, that family and friends, and it's so easy to meet in that place with. And then to allow your perception, your lens of love, those glasses like Jeannie showed us, to be stretched a little wider, to hold those people that you know hold a different perception from you. And be willing to hold them in that place of sacred human to sacred human. And as we center down into that place of divine wisdom, know that all things are possible. Greater good on this planet than we've ever experienced is possible. It's also a time of danger, but let's us hold possibility for new life, for new peace, for greater peace and love, for all brothers and sisters on this planet. And then let's rest for a moment or two in the silence of our being. Again, that place where all creation begins, and creation is birthed out of chaos. So hold this time as that birth for that new earth on our planet in the silence of our being. And then let gratitude rise in you for these times, for this time together. And gratitude is that forerunner for that love rising. And just let it be a knowing that that's what's being called forth during this time. And we say, thank you, God. Our God is love. Our race is human. And our religion is oneness. And so it is. Amen and amen. Deep breaths. Just to come back in a physical way to this time. That place from pure consciousness to this place of manifested consciousness that we live in. And may we bring a little bit more love and possibility back to this time together. More inclusivity from that time together in meditation. And then let's move. This is our time, our opportunity where we give back. So the question to you is, have you been nourished by this time? And if you have, may we join in a circle of giving and receiving, of having received now to give back. And if you're here with us physically, we have the offering box in the back. I think just keep it back there, Louise, and people can give as they leave. And just know that we are so grateful for whatever you give as a love offering here. As we have not been meeting here and doing things in our sanctuary, all the bills still go on. And so we appreciate those love offerings, those tithes, those donations. And then if you're part of our virtual community, I know on the Facebook page, there's a place to be able to give through PayPal or to be able to send in a snail mail love offering, and know that those are gratefully received. And that as you partake in this giving part, it's really a spiritual practice, isn't it? Of giving where we've been nourished spiritually. So it keeps each of our divine expressions wide open to receiving that flow in all ways, and then to giving from that flow in all ways. So we give thanks to each of you who we give in love, and we receive in love, and we say thank you. So I have a poem to close with. To remembering that we are those verbs of God. And it's a poem by Dana Falls. She's a yoga teacher. So she's very much about these poems and that she gives, and the vibration of all that we do being grounded in our being, so then we can bring it with our fifth principle into our lives. And this is the prayer of the infinite. O wild, unseen heart of light and darkness, this presence hold it all, doesn't it? O spark of all desire, consciousness, and life, I pray to make this whole day sacred, from the first moment to my last breath at night when I close my eyes. Each act an adoration, a celebration of what's true, with a capital T. All of it consecrated to your vast, unbridled exuberance. When I saw the flowers this morning, and all the nature just in so much beauty, that's us too, our exuberance of being this love. I pray that I may serve by doing what is mine to do, knowing that I will remember, hopefully more and more, and forget, hopefully less and less, find and lose, knowing too that your infinite grace is everywhere when I choose to be attuned to it. So let's close like we always do, not with joining hands, but maybe, and not with, we can't sing the peace song. And I better look at it just to make sure that my memory does it right. Let there be peace on earth. Let it begin with me. Peace on earth. The peace that is meant to be, with God as creator. Family, all are we. Let us walk with our harmony. Let this be the moment now. Step I take. Let this be my joyous vow. Take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Take that in. It's more than just a prayer, it's a walk, isn't it? Step by step. And then let's say our prayer of protection that goes with us everywhere, that's up on the moon, that 2 astronauts have taken to the moon. It's out in the universe, it's everywhere. The light of God surrounds me. The love of God enfolds me. The power of God protects me. The presence of God watches over me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Yea, God, fear not. God is everywhere present. And as I begin to get ready to turn off the live stream, I'm going to put on again another Creed of the Heart with a little more of an upbeat rhythm even. So if you're at home and if you've got a dancing spirit in you, you might want to stand up and move to this. You might even want to do that here and you're in the sanctuary, as long as we stay 6 feet apart. And just let that wonderful creed move through your whole body with rhythm. Or not. Stay seated as well. So in closing, just let this creed of the heart take us out of this time together. And I feel so blessed to have been able to join with all of you, near here and far. Blessed be on this beautiful God day. Thank you, you all. All right, it should start playing in a minute.
Our God is love, our race is human, our religion is wonder. That's the creed of the heart. Our God is love, our race is human.
I want to stand
Our
up.
religion is wonders.
Amen.
Our God is love, our race is human, our religion is wonders. That's the creed of the heart. Our God is love, our race is human, our religion is wonders. Amen.
Jim just opened the door to the greater outside.
Our race is human, our religion is wonders. That's the creed of the heart. Our God is love, our race is human, our religion is wonders.
I'm going to stand up, y'all.
Amen. Our God is love, our race is human, our religion is wonders. That's the creed of the heart. Our God is love, our race is human, our religion is wonders. Amen.
Thank you, dancing spirits.